all those years, and just tell us, where did it all begin?
So the Ruby Sessions is running 16 years. First night was the 13th of April 1999, all those many moons ago, and it started out between myself and Niall Muckin, who started the night, as kind of, we saw we saw a gap in the live music scene, certainly in Dublin, and in I think at that time in the late 90s in a lot of cities, that there was all these open mic nights, and then there was all these bands doing their own gigs, but there was nothing really kind of to slot in between, where you could go and play to kind of a sure enough guaranteed crowd each week, and not necessarily your crowd, but definitely get gig fit and go out and do that, as opposed to an open mic night where and I always say this, the open mic nights have a huge part to play in any city's live music scene, but be it with quality control, or I felt some of those gigs, they just went on for hours and there was no real structure to them, or no real nothing to kind of get the audience coming back. It was a lot of songwriters playing to other songwriters, and that's amazing, but we definitely felt that there was a gap between the open mic nights and going on and headline your own show, be it in a 50, 60 capacity venue or a 500, 600, 1,000 capacity venue. So the premise at the start was to provide an outlet for up and coming bands or songwriters to get out and showcase their songs to to an audience that they wouldn't normally get to play to, who weren't really there to see them, were there to see someone else. So the premise is still the same, the ethos is still the same. Obviously we've grown a lot in the 16 years, and while we have accommodated some of the world's, at this stage, biggest recording and gigging artists, we still...
Let's name drop some of them for the kids that are watching.
Acts that have graced our stage over the years. I mean, Ed Sheeran has done it, Pel Natini, Mumford & Sons,
Bell X1,
The Frames, Rodrigo Gabriela, Wallace Bird, Villagers, Jack L, Billy Steinberg, Hosier, Codaline, blah blah blah. The list goes on. This goes on and on and on. But I do really, and myself and Niall are very, it's very important to us that people know that the Rubies is not about, it's great when these big touring acts come in, it's amazing. But the premise and ethos is still the same. It's about promoting new and upcoming music, be it Irish or international. It's all about getting those people off the ground.
Now, if we have some baby bands and they're looking at this and they want to know, how do we get on that stage? How do they do that? What do they do?
Well, they email me. So I'm the head booker, not soul booker, which I was for years, head booker. But they email me. There's a massive monster waiting list, as you can imagine. I probably get 50 to 100 emails every single week looking for people to play. So there's a massive waiting list. If I don't get back to you, don't get disheartened. Keep going out and gigging and we like and appreciate hard work and talent, and we'll always root for that.
I mean, there's no coincidence that the standard here is extremely high. So obviously that's something that you're looking out for, that you're promoting, and that's what you're looking is the consistency of that standard here at the sessions every week.
Totally, but we've also had to change with the industry. I mean, if you look at the arc of the music industry in the world, really, but especially in Dublin, over the last 15, 16 years, there's been, and I've said it before, and I always say, there's been like certain milestones, and you can see, and you can mark those milestones and see how it affected that city's industry. Like, I always say, Damien Rice's album coming out in 2001, that was like a game changer. Like,
you can pick up a guitar and play,
and you could record at home, and people didn't know, and you don't need a record label, and you can go out and do this, and we saw a shift. Then everyone who was coming in, everyone was a guy with a guitar and whatever. Then with the advent of YouTube, I mean, YouTube, I don't know, what is it, 6 years old, 7 years old? Like, it's nothing. So with YouTube and Facebook and all that, bands now, at that point, could self-promote and whatever. And now with record sales and people not being able to make a living that way, or royalties or whatever, bands are realising they just have to get out and gig.
Do you think with this shift in technological advances that it's kind of an increase that the major labels are not going to spend as much money, I suppose, promoting these new bands because they can do it themselves, or they just feel they can home record, or what's your feelings on that?
My feelings are that major labels and independent labels will spend money on bands, but I think there's a lot more expected of bands pre-getting a deal these days. Like the labels or nights like this or whatever, they want to see that you're not just sitting home waiting for someone to come to you. Gone are the days of like, well, to a certain degree, gone are the days of someone being plucked from obscurity. You have to be out and be gigging and showing that you have a certain amount of likes on Facebook and a certain amount of views, and you've built all this, that you're not expecting a label or a promoter or manager to come in and do it all for you. Like, as a musician, you have to know everything. You have to know the business, and you have to know how to record, you have to know how to play, you have to, and have all that done, and then a label will come and go, wow, look what this guy or girl or band have built on their own, and that's something we can work with and we can tailor and we can get behind.
So obviously you're mentioning it there, a really strong social media presence is vital in understanding this as a business and promoting yourself.
Well, self-promotion, I mean, as I said there, people aren't making money, and I'm talking from U2 down, people aren't, I don't know why I said that and used them as an example, but from acts at that level right down, they can't make money, or they're not making the money they used to in the same way as selling albums. So now you just have to go out and gig, build up your fan base that way, make your money that way. You're on the road. Like, if you look at probably one of the 2 or 3 most successful people to come out of Ireland in the last year or two, and Hosier, excuse me, that, like, if you could see that guy's schedule, he is like, it's 24/7, 365. I think the last time I spoke to him, he was like, oh, I have 4 days off, and that's they're the only 4 days I've had off in a year and a half. You just have to, so people go, oh, and Hosier's doing so well, or Ed Sheeran's doing so well, and blah, blah, blah. Those guys work. Those guys, they work. And if you work at anything hard enough, you hopefully should get the just rewards.
How important, if we go back old school, is the demo?
Very. Having something that you can send to someone. Okay, put it this way. People used to send us tapes. People used to send us blah. Now I'm like, I actually, if I'm being brutally honest, I don't want your CD. I want you to email me, here's a link of this is what I do, blah, 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 blah. And when I'm booking an act, I will go on, I will see how many likes they have on Facebook, how many views, what are they gigging, are they up to speed with stuff. Now, that's all after I'm into them, or, they're talented. And they deserve a break, or they haven't been getting the breaks, or whatever. But no, I mean, this whole thing of people releasing EPs sometimes baffles me, if I'm honest. Why? Just releasing them, I released an EP. There's an amazing songwriter who, I don't think he'll mind me saying is quite lazy, but he has this song called Everyone Has an EP But Me. Like, every single person has an EP. Oh, sorry, I should name him. John Byrne is his name. Amazing songwriter. But it's something I go back and forth with, this releasing an EP. I released an EP. All right, okay. Like, okay, you might sell it for a $5 at your thing, and it is. I'm talking myself out of it here, but it is important to have something physical. But everything now is just email me. I want to hear you, or I want to go and see you. Invite me down to your gig. Being quite broad, but if I'm being specific about booking an act here, I don't care how good your album is. I'm booking you to play at a live night in front of an audience that we've brought together. So I want you to be good live. I want you to write good songs and be easy to work with. Or love what you're doing. But yeah, you have to, what makes them stand out. And you also, as a booker, your own musical tastes you really have to keep them at bay and say, look, I mightn't be into this, but this is very good. And you kind of get an eye for it or an ear for it.
And is there any changes, and it's a personal question to you, are there any changes that you'd like to see made in an effort overall in Ireland to support new Irish music?
Well, more Irish music on radio is, I'm sure anyone you ask will say that. I do realise that their hands are tied a certain amount, but definitely more Irish music on Irish radio. That's the first thing that has to happen. And I'll say it again: more Irish music on Irish radio.
Full stop.
Like, just or don't meet your quota of playing Irish music by putting them on at 1 a.m. on a Sunday night or Monday morning. Do you know
Exactly.
what I mean? And in saying that, I understand, the mechanics of it, and I understand that they are working with but yeah, definitely.
We feel, certainly, I'm sure you do that, over the last, I suppose, few decades, that we've been really punching above our weight, coming from Ireland and within the Irish music industry. And we've named all the great acts. What's your view on the Irish music scene in general at the moment?
I think it's as regards the talent we're producing, whether they're getting the breaks they deserve or not, as regards the talent we're producing, it's in a very healthy place. I would go so far as to say it's never been better with the talent we're producing. How we're managing them and looking after them and getting them out there, or them getting the breaks they deserve, I don't think it's as healthy. I remember back in the day, people used to say, why aren't, like, this Irish band is so amazing, why aren't they whatever? And the answer used to be, well, there's, for the math's sake, there's 100 great Irish bands, but there's only really 4 great Irish managers. And that definitely was the case. So unless I won't name the managers, but unless you were being looked after or on these guys' radars, you weren't. Whereas that whole management thing, but bands, I think, put a lot of emphasis, undue emphasis on that. Oh, we have to get a manager, we have to get a whatever. Do all that stuff we were talking about first, and then get a manager when you need to start negotiating your way through deals or touring or whatever. But there's so much you can do yourself. There really is, and those bands that are making it and getting through that or above that whatever ceiling it is, are the ones who are just eating and breathing and sleeping this industry. And how do we do? And we should be doing that. And it affects your relationships. It affects and people have to work. People have to pay rent, so they have jobs. So it's not easy. It really isn't easy.
Stage when they're beginning to start their careers.
I don't know about common mistakes. I suppose
Do's and don'ts.
Do's and don'ts. Wow, you've landed in it there. Do's and don'ts. I suppose I would. I mean, definitely record. Spend a lot of time writing. I do get out and gig. Do get out and gig. Don't lock yourself away in a studio. You will not be noticed. Go away and make an amazing album, by all means, but definitely back it up with getting out there and gigging and get it wrong 100 times. Get used to being on stage, get used to talking to a crowd. Now, I'm definitely talking more from a live point here. I'd be interested to hear what Niall from the record label side of things would say. I'd say he'd say, prove that you can do all that stuff first before you expect anyone to do that work for you. And when I say don't take no for an answer, I mean it in a, like, if I said it earlier, like, if I don't get back to you, don't, like, still email me, or still, you really have to push yours. No one's going to do it for you. You just have to go. And look, if you're shit, and nothing's going to happen for you. But, like,
don't be shit.
Don't be shit.
Work hard.
Do be good. Do you know what I mean? People will find you. People will find
Brilliant.
you.
Every night you charge a minimal fee in here, and it goes to support the Simon Community. That is a wonderful charity. And why did you decide to pick them?
I think the first question is why we decided to give it to charity as opposed to lining our own pockets. We used to charge £2 in initially, and very quickly after 6 or 8 months, when myself and Niall had paid ourselves back for buying the desks and curtains and lights and stuff, we just found it was just going to be easier just to give it away. And it's definitely been the best decision we made, because we can get acts that we would never get to play when they see it's not lining anyone's pockets, that it all gives away. But to answer the question, you actually asked me why we picked the Simon Community. We felt they were a very good fit with what we were trying to do and what they're trying to do. I mean, yes, you could say we're trying to get people off the ground and on their feet musically, and they're trying to whatever, but there's actually more to it than that. It's just their whole ethos and their outlook on things, and it's a very Dublin thing. And while the Ruby Sessions has become internationally known, we are a Dublin night. They are a Dublin charity. They look after Dublin/Irish people. Yeah, so I could probably give a better answer, but that was initially why we decided to go with them. We have, over the years, some people have come to us and said, look, could we get one night? And definitely, if it's something we believe in. The Straight Up for Equality came to us. We were on board with that. There's a couple of animal charities who come to us. We were straight on board with that. But it will always be to the Simon Community.